everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
Of course, I'm Ron.
And LaWanda's out today, but she'll be back with us next week. But we are happy to be back. Finally, Power is back from its hiatus. We have episode 6 of this season, and it was titled What's Free? So if you guys hang tight, we'll be right back with you. Like I said, we are talking PowerBook 2. Now I know we had a roundtable arranged for the break, the little hiatus that was going on, but we had a little hiccup in the plans. So we just want to come off top and address that from the beginning, because I know a lot of you are probably wondering, you know, what happened with that, but we didn't forget about you guys. We still have plans for that.
Yeah, and part of that hiccup was mine. I came down with COVID-19, and luckily for me, I did have my shots and my booster. I was sick, quite sick, but nothing detrimental. I didn't have to go to emergency or anything like that. Still suffering from a little coughing, but I'm back, and I am ready to get this ball going, and the fashion that you know how we do, because we do it well. So just hang with us, and hey, let's get it moving.
Yes, we're definitely
glad to have you back.
Yes.
Yeah, and we will reschedule the roundtable, guys. We're still going to do it, so it's not all for naught. You know, we just wanted to make sure our beloved Ron was up and running and feeling well enough to do it. So.
And let me be political for a minute. You may like it, you may not. Get your shots. If you haven't, get your shots. This thing is serious.
Okay, you heard that. That's Ron's PSA.
That's Uncle Ron telling you something.
Okay, well, are you guys ready to get started on PowerBook 2?
Yes.
What's free?
Yes.
Wow, the Tejada family. It's a lot going on there. I wanted to get started with that discussion of the whole family. The episode started out with Monet, and you know, they're all around the dinner table. And Monet is just at the welcome home party, and she's peeping everybody in the party. And it seemed like everything that Tariq told her about her family, she's picking up on it one by one. And so it was just funny to see her face. Everybody's so glad and cheerful that Lorenzo's home, and she just mean mugging and side-eyeing everybody.
Can you spell turmoil? Because that's all it is. It's just one big hot shop in that old family. So, you know, but Lorenzo, my God, you know, I mean, you come in and act like it hadn't rained. You're going to step in and take over like you haven't been away for 10 years. And, you know, one thing though, I had to question. When Zeke walked in, Lorenzo didn't know him.
Well, that's the thing. And I was like, I think it might have been longer than 10 years. I don't know how long Lorenzo's been away.
Well, they said
he has a life sentence.
No, it's been longer than that, because he said she got burnt out during the last decade. So he been gone a minute. And Courtney said in her Q&As that he hadn't met Zeke. He don't know Zeke. And you see how he pressed Zeke when
then let's go back to what Monet said. She said, "You remember Zeke, my cousin? How would he?"
She said, "My nephew."
My nephew. I mean, how is he going to remember her nephew if he never met him? So I'm trying to figure out where Monet's head is then, if in fact.
Or maybe she just mentioned him to Lorenzo, like, yeah, my nephew is gonna be living with us while you're away. She probably has told Lorenzo stories about Zeke and, keeping him filled in on the details. But as in terms of an in-person meeting, this is the first. So
right.
And like you said, Courtney said that we would learn more about that background. She said that we would see who Zeke thinks his real mother is. And she said that in terms of Lorenzo and Zeke, though, they had never really had an interaction. So that was interesting, because he definitely was not friendly to Zeke at all. It was kind of animosity there.
No, and it made me feel a way, because the same thing that happened when she asked him to put the house up for Zeke, and he was like, absolutely not. And he's not one of our kids. And I was like, I want to address that right off the break, because one of our subscribers, yeah, I'm talking to you, Mr. Iverson, said that that the women, that he was just like, I think it's funny that the women are saying that, that Monet should is okay to have an affair with Mecca and stuff, but we had an issue with Ghost doing it. And I was like, no, all right, Ron. I already told you. Ron, and that was never. And I told y'all, and I responded to Mr. Iverson in his comments, that was not issue with Ghost. It was the kid thing. And the same thing with Monet here with Mecca. Neither one of them it should be committing adultery. But if the relationship is ending and you have children involved, there's a way to introduce those children to the relationship. And when Monet was considering going that way with Mecca, she's told him, I'm gonna have to holler at the kids and stuff and everything. And that's what I had expected from Ghost. And
you can kind of tell that Monet has her kids in mind when she went back to Mecca, and she was like, nah, I don't think this is gonna work out, because they had that little family moment around the table sharing stories and reminiscing. And I think she recognizes the value of keeping the unit together.
Right. And that's what I meant. And that's where I always was coming from with the Ghost, the children. And she saw that when she looked around and saw how happy they were to see Lorenzo and everything. She was like, "No, let me go and let him know, cut it off."
Yeah, even though I still think Mecca is gonna sabotage that. He's not.
Will.
And I take that will.
Let me put on brakes here for a minute. I don't think Monet was absolutely doing it for the sake of the children. I think what Monet was doing was for the sake of her own ass, because of the fact she know full well what's going to happen to her if Lorenzo. Look, let me tell you something. Because remember, she first said she told Mecca, yeah, we can still make this happen. And then the more Lorenzo was pulling her back and trying to make her a housewife, which we know that's not what she wants.
Right.
And then she comes back and says, look, I can't do anything with this because of the fact that she's now in lock and key. The man has pretty much put her in retirement. So, and look, and it's not right. I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you, Lorenzo, he's some kind of a player, but Monet is not stupid. She knows daggone well what will happen to her behind if she tries to pull up on with Mecca. It's not going to happen.
This is a fact.
No, Lorenzo is no nonsense, and it's like he wants to keep her as the little woman too. Like he's like, because even when they were at the party and stuff, and Diana was like, you might want me to help you with the food. He was like, no, she got it. Yeah. And I was like, and see, that type of stuff with Lorenzo and how he's behaving. That's why I had said I was Team Mecca, because I was just like, I didn't like how he was treating Mo.
Yeah, he's not empowering her to continue on. Like, I understand wanting to keep your woman out of this lifestyle because it is very dangerous. I completely understand that. But he has to understand the type of woman that Monet is. She's not meek. Like, she's not, some kind of like a shy woman or somebody that's very timid that can't handle the life. And so to have her fully engulfed in that lifestyle and then to pull her out and try to make her stay at home and cook and clean, like, it's just not going to work for the type of woman she is. She's alpha female. And they really could be a power team.
Right.
If he wanted to go that route. And, given, like I said, the dangers of the lifestyle, he could try to keep her involved in a lesser capacity so she doesn't have so much exposure to danger. But to completely ice her out, like, you gotta know Monet not gonna handle that well.
Well, it's male dominance, and he knew very well who he married, because when he went in, he didn't say it was over. He put that alpha female ahead and said, look, I need you to continue to run the business, which she did. Now you come back home and your alpha male, you know, your male dominance, you want to put her in a box, close the box, not for her safety, but just because I'm king dog and you do as I tell you. He exemplified that in several scenes of this particular episode. So I don't think it's much about her being safe, because it's just more about him, you know, him.
It's control. It really what it is. He wants to control the situation. And that's why Monet had that side conversation with Kane, because they both feel like they're losing control in the situation, because Lorenzo is making Drew his number 2. And Kane is kind of like, I earned my spot. Like, I held the family down. Why would you put Drew ahead of me? And so I noticed that little situation when they were at the bar. And it was very reminiscent of like that Bible scene with Cain and Abel, because, you know, Cain bought the necklace and gave him the gift. And just like the Bible story where Cain offered his gift to God and God wasn't pleased with Cain's gift. And so Cain felt dejected and ended up murdering his brother Abel because he felt like he was jealous. So I'm like, if this is foreshadowing, Drew better watch out.
Oh my God, T, I literally said the same thing to my son. I was like, this is Cain and Abel playing out. I said the exact same thing. I think that's what's going to happen.
Am I my brother's keeper? Perfect analogy.
And I was like, see, because Drew didn't ask for that. You know, he didn't ask to be number 2. He barely wants to be involved in the business as is. But there is something to be said about each of the 3 children. I like now that Diana is being allowed to pursue her education, albeit not in the place she wants to pursue it at, but you know, maybe some change will come with that situation. Maybe she'll be allowed to go to Stansfield. Yeah. You know. But he's pushing Drew into being this number 2 position. And he's right about the differences between Drew and Cain. Because Cain, he said that he would likely be complacent as long as he has respect and fear in the streets. And I kind of could see that too. Like, I don't know that Cain necessarily wants all of the responsibilities as much as he wants the respect.
But he does not want to be number 2, like accepting a position next to
right.
Drew.
Yeah, I hear that too. But Drew is smarter. I mean, he's more calculated. He definitely picks up on all the things, like with the guy Kino, you know, the guy that Lorenzo was locked up with. He spotted. He was like, I don't think, you know, this guy is running the operation as well. He's overworking his guys and underpaying him. We could knock him out and take his men. And that's something that Cain is not necessarily doing the homework on the competition like Drew is.
And which leads
Drew
me
is very forward looking.
And which leads me to believe that Drew may have a taste for this after all, because he was showing his dad or giving his dad some nuggets on what needs to be done, which is surprising to me, because I didn't think he had it in him in that regard.
No, he's always had it in him. He just doesn't want it.
Well, that's what I mean to say. You know, he never seemed like he wanted to be in that limelight, but you know, the nuggets he was dropping with his dad, I'm like, okay, this boy is thinking, and he's
sharp.
Yeah, he's very sharp. He's got a criminal mind, so he seems like he might blend in with this. You know, but speaking of St. John's, I spoke to somebody from New York. Nobody wants to go to St. John's unless you're Catholic. You know, I got nothing against St. John's, but I'm just saying, you know, Deanna didn't want to go to St. John's.
It's a good school.
It's in Queens. She didn't want to do it. You know, she was like, hey, look, you know, she wanted to
didn't want to go to St. John's because Tariq ain't there. Well, let's keep it a buck. Why she want to go to Stansfield?
Well, we know why. But
that's what I'm saying.
A New Yorker did. I didn't come up with this. A New Yorker did tell me most people in New York don't want to go to St. John's unless you're Catholic. I can understand. You know, I mean, if you're not Catholic, hey,
Let me tell you what though, I know that Monet and Diana's relationship is definitely on the rock. So I don't know where Diana plans to go to school, but she might want to get up out of that household because the way Monet choked her up,
and she deserved it. And
yeah, she was
just gonna
mouthing off.
yeah, I was like, I like Diana, but Diana did the most this this episode. Like she did. Like first of all, she deliberately didn't make breakfast for her and stuff.
right.
So she shafted her there. And then when she got mouthy, when she was just like, well, I ain't tell you to do that and stuff. No, I don't care how grown you are. You still a child. That's your mom. That's her house. So I was counting down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I knew any minute. And I wasn't mad when she got the death grip.
And you know what? And see, when your mother tells you to leave the house before she kills you, that might be okay. But if Monet tells you to leave the house before she kills you, you really need to take that with a grain of salt and skip on out of there. Because
you don't do that with Black mamas.
No.
Right.
Black mamas like, no.
And I can see Diana really is cutting up because Lorenzo's home. She's a daddy's girl. And she feels like daddy's going to back her, no matter what. He was already stroking her ego earlier in the episode, talking about, yeah, Diana's more loyal than all of you guys. He was really, pushing her up for what she had done for him. And so the fact that she had to steal from her mother in order to do that, and somebody ended up dying as a result, like, I get Diana wanting to help her father, but not understanding the consequences of what she did. I think that's something that she lacks in that regard in terms of understanding cause and effects, because she had to know that there was going to be some backlash to stealing that money.
Oh yeah.
Besides just dealing with Monet.
Let's real like anybody else that you take $1 million from in the street, she would be dead.
Yeah, and you got to know that if somebody's like, if that amount of money is missing from somebody's safe, somebody got to answer for it. So you're not thinking about all the blowback that's going to come. Like, somebody died because of you.
And Monet had to understand that was an inside job, because you didn't have any evidence of the house being broken in, so it had to have been somebody from the inside. And it seems as though she was more willing to kind of let it go. But then when she finds out, and Diana, yeah, I agree with you. She was tripping.
Yeah, and you can already see this wedge forming in the family. You can see Diana is on the outs with Monet, and I know that if Everett ever reveals to Drew what Monet told him about, you got to get up out of here, she straight up put him out her house. So I know that if Drew finds that out, that's going to drive a wedge between him and Monet, and it's really shaping up to be Lorenzo, Drew, and Diana versus Kane and Monet.
Everett's getting ready to get up out of here too, though, because he's a liability. Yeah. And I feel like Drew might be put in a position where he may have to get rid of Everett. I mean, he may not want to, but because he's a liability, and because, Courtney said in her Q&A that Drew is the Michael Corleone of Godfather and stuff. So it could be somebody else who does it, but it could possibly come down to Drew doing it.
And it was a little surprising to me that Lorenzo kind of already knew about Drew's lifestyle, and he wasn't, really he didn't seem bothered by it at all, which not saying that he should be, but I was shocked that he actually even knew. Like, how would he know that behind bars if Drew or any of the other children?
He probably knew as a child. He probably, parents know their kids.
Remember
so he's been away for so long. How would
he peeped what was going on at the party, because he saw how Drew looked at Everett, and so did Monet she had that dead eye on everything, but Lorenzo peeped that. And I guess being in jail where he sees that happen, that stuff is going on all the time. He probably
good point.
It ain't nothing to me. So I think that's how he was able to, scoop that out, because he was like, yeah, I've seen that look before. And so, and he probably knows that Drew.
I think he knows his son. He said to Monet, he said, I know who he is. So he probably already knew. He probably already knew.
he probably had some suspicion, but I know after he saw that, he was on it. He knew. You know, in fact, because Monet, remember when he asked Monet, are they, and Monet said, well, you seem to know everything. So,
Mhm.
you
Because I
know,
don't think it was a secret to anybody in the family. Because Kane and all of them in the family, I think he's out. I think he knew.
well, Zeke doesn't know, but you know, hey, that's Zeke.
Zeke doesn't know much of anything.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
you know,
say,
they keep Zeke in the dark about everything.
yeah,
Though.
he's in the black on everything.
Yeah. Well, basically, I guess what I want to discuss next with this whole situation where, Lorenzo basically goes to Monet and says, Tariq has been arrested. Like, the boy is getting charged for double homicide. And Kane has everything to do with that. And you're not thinking about the blowback of the situation. I guess Lorenzo was thinking that Monet put Kane up to it, not realizing that Kane has been doing his own thing all along. And so basically Monet has to go back and clean up Kane's mess. She goes to Davis with $250K to get information that could blow back on her family. He makes her double it. So they got to figure out how to get the rest of this money. And therefore they have to bring course correct back into action, which involves them going to Braden, which I'm like, look, he's not the best option, but he's all they got right now. But it fell through because Braden is basically showing his loyalty to Tariq. And basically Monet told Kane, like, you don't have the hold on him that you think you do. So I'm trying to think of how they're going to get the rest of this money now. So if we jump a little bit ahead, if we we'll come back to that conversation, but we can skip to Tariq's situation.
Okay.
Because he went to court finally. He was on ice during the holidays. He had to spend Christmas and New Year's in jail. Sorry, Tariq. But he finally got to see the judge, and it wasn't looking good for him. He was basically given no bail at first. And then he realized that Yaz was put back into the foster care system. So it's looking all bad for him. And that's when Davis puts bug in his ear that you need to get, Rashad to pull some strings.
And he said you need somebody with influence, and Tariq asked for Rashad.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashad comes through. But I like Judge Kenneth Lucas, because he put it down. Black lives do matter, and we're gonna take care of this
at a price.
Well, that's because Rashad was pulling some strings.
No, don't get me wrong. I know it wasn't totally on Judge Lucas. Obviously there's a payback situation, but I just like the court.
Even though they gave him the monitor and stuff. And how about Sachs? Sachs is a
hater. Sachs got to get the hands.
Yeah. Sachs is like, he did it. He did it, like, they definitely think he's a monster, a serial killer.
A cop killer. And that's the thing that was surprising to me, because I know that Tate has a lot of influence, but this is the murder of a police officer we're talking here. This is very high profile. I don't know what kind of pull you got that can help a supposed cop killer get released from jail.
That's why he has. The evidence. Remember, they did not have any forensic evidence tying Tariq, because one of the key things, like we said, that while they found the badge in his room, he shares a room with someone else, and there's no DNA tying Tariq to either of those crimes. And those are the things
you got to think. That's the logical thought process, but you got to remember, he did mention that the justice system is biased, okay? And usually it don't work in our favor, regardless of how many things don't match up.
Yeah, but
that's why I'm saying
you got no fingerprints on the badge. You have no fingerprints on the gun. That's relatable to Tariq. And I think Davis should have really driven home that argument more than anything, because it's likely that he could have been set up. You don't just, if somebody's going to well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, if I kill a cop, why would I keep his badge? And then secondly, would I have the acumen to wipe the badge clean of fingerprints, but then be stupid enough to keep it in my dresser drawer. So some things just don't add up. It's an oxymoron. You can't have it both ways. It's either going to be stupid or smart. You can't have it both ways.
Not unless he's the type of killer that likes to keep little artifacts from his murders.
Mementos.
Oh, those are serial killers, you know.
Well, he is.
Well, Tariq is a serial killer.
Okay. I digress. Okay.
But I think, did you notice that that Rashad also, he called him a cop killer in the thing and stuff. And I think not necessarily he doesn't know whether Tariq killed Ramirez or not, but he knows for sure that Tariq killed Ray Ray.
Right.
So I think that's another reason why he thinks that Tariq could possibly do this, because he's like, if you didn't kill Ramirez, you definitely killed Ray Ray, who was a cop.
But you know, it was surprising seeing Tate in the classroom scene where Carrie.
That's who has to get the hands.
Carrie had to get the hands and the feet this week.
Yeah,
she getting stomped out because she know better, and it seems like it's always the ones that have the least room to speak. Between Carrie and Saxe, they have no room to say anything, and yet they're being so judgmental
and self-righteous. I was like, she's been tricking this whole time, and she's gonna sit up there and say that Tariq deserves to be in jail. Like, and then what she did to Lauren, I was glad that Lauren bossed up on her, even though we, you know, little annoyed with Lauren too. Lauren might have to get hands too, but but I was glad that she stepped up Carrie the way she did, and I hope she blows Carrie up. I hope she tell her parents and put her on blast.
Right, I agree. Because Carrie, what were you gonna say, Ron?
Lauren got her comeuppance, because I'm glad Tariq walked away from it. I never thought they should be together in the first place. And Tariq let her have it. He let her go. And I'm like, okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. You know, you like, this is why I said I'm Effie all the way, because Lauren can't handle the heat, guys.
We knew that.
The heat. And that's
I'm with you, because at least Effie knows what time it is, and then she's like, and she knows who he is, and she was like, well, you just had to do what you had to do.
Exactly.
Lauren, he was like can we go back to the room and talk? Lauren was just like, then he was
she's
like,
scared to be associated with him.
Yes, exactly. He said, all right, we done talking, and I'm done with you. And I said, I wasn't mad at Tariq.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's so funny to me that Effie previously told Diana to stay away from Tariq, and yet here she is this week kissing all up on him.
Well,
so
there's gonna be a fallout.
Effie, I like Effie. She's, I'm in her corner all the way.
You've been in her corner.
You know it.
Effie is clearing the room. She's making sure she is uncontended in that spot for Tariq.
Ain't afraid of nothing either. You saw she stepped to Monet.
Yeah, I mean, she's proven her value because not only is she versed in the lifestyle, she can hold her own with other, bosses like Monet. She was not intimidated. She rose to the occasion, where Tariq asked her to be a stand-in for him, and she didn't shy down. And that kind of loyalty speaks a lot for somebody in that life. Tariq has the whole world against him right now. He has nobody in his corner. That's exactly what he told Lauren. You were the only person I had. Yeah. And then she fell out on him. So with Effie stepping up and rising to the occasion like she has, Tariq values her. No matter how much she did to him in the past. She is really being a ride or die right now. And I think that says a lot.
But you best believe that Monet is going to let Diana know that he's dealing with Effie, and that's going to be the jump off right there. It's going to be a fallout between them two.
Especially if Diana somehow ends up at Stansfield.
Monet don't want her at Stansfield because she know that she only want to be up there so she can run behind Tariq.
But there's room for that though, because with Course Correct being down and them not having Braden in a position where they can control him, maybe Diana being at Stansfield is a way that they can keep Course Correct running underneath Lorenzo's nose. Now, I doubt that Monet trusts Diana anymore, considering how she's been acting.
Well, Diana doesn't know how to work Course Correct.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Only Tariq and Braden know how.
But under Effie's leadership, you remember Diana and Effie have kind of well, at least Diana thinks that she and Effie are in some kind of friendship or, relationship where they can kind of learn. She can learn from her. So if that happens, then maybe Diana takes notes from Effie, who is already involved in the operation.
Like you said though earlier, Diana's a daddy's girl, and already we know Lorenzo doesn't want to do anything with course correct anymore.
Right.
And if there is ever a conversation between Diana and Lorenzo about course correct, he'll definitely steer her away from that. So
it'll be him using her to take it over, because that's what Monet was worried about, is if course correct is up and running again, either Lorenzo's going to shut it down, he's going to take over himself, or he's going to put Drew in the position to run it.
But I thought it was a smart idea to get rid of it because it's too hot. It's just too volatile. You got Tariq going to jail now. The feds or the police, they're on it. The university is on it. So it would be a smart thing to step away from it. The concern they got now is that they got to raise money quickly, and the only way really to do that is with course correct. And so it's they're between a rock and a hard place, no matter how you look at it.
Well, it kind of seems like they kind of have something arranged, because Tariq, although he can't be
they're going to still
involved,
do course correct.
Yeah, I think Effie and Braden are taking the reins. The crazy part though is with Braden and Tariq having their altercation, because Tariq finally confronted him about all of his dealings with Kane behind his back, and Braden came clean finally. But I don't know if what he did with Kane, like we said, with that whole robbery and hitting the licks, if that still doesn't have blowback that we haven't seen yet. And then, he blamed Tariq for not keeping him filled in. So Tariq kind of filled him on all of the details. So now it seems like they're kind of on the same page. Didn't
that remind you of Ghost? It didn't remind you of Ghost and Tommy? I said, because Braden was wrong, because Tariq did tell him stay away from Kane and everything. But he did not tell him why he should stay. Like, this is why I'm telling you this, bro. And that is definitely how Ghost used to roll. Like, he would keep a lot of stuff to himself. He wouldn't always tell everybody the plans. And Tariq has a lot of Ghost characteristics.
But Tariq also has a lot of motive to make up with Braden, considering he needs that yearbook from Braden's dad.
Yes.
So that's why I'm like, I'm not sure how genuine Tariq's apology is, or whether it's just, him needing Braden for now.
That's all it is. That's all it is. He needs him. But, Tariq called him stupid. I mean, come on. Look, I like Braden in the sense that, he has this energy about him, and he says, well, he did say something that I really liked. He as Tariq was berating him about what he had done wrong and so forth, and Tariq said, look, you just essentially said, you're just a rich kid, why don't you go on back home and do your thing? And Braden said, well, don't act like you didn't come from money and choose this life. I'm doing the same thing. So I'm like, okay, Braden, maybe, maybe
he had a point.
Yeah, he had a point.
Listen, Braden drops the truth bombs too. Like, some stuff that Tariq said he was right about, but Braden had some good comebacks. Like for real. There's no reason for Tariq to be in that life either, because as we know, Ghost and Tasha provided ably for him and had a future set out for him that had nothing to do with that lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had a moment to reflect. That is Tariq. And when he said, maybe my daddy knew more about me than I knew of myself, I'm like, see, now the chicks look like they're coming home to roost. You are now understanding your daddy.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of that, all of these full circle moments for Tariq, where he starts to realize the truth in what Ghost was previously saying to him.
Speaking of the truth, it is so savage that Ghost wrote that note on truth letterhead.
But you know what? And that's another thing about Effie, because she kind of helped comfort him through that letter too.
Right.
And she was like, maybe your dad didn't know you like he thought he know you. Your story ain't finished yet. And I think that was confirmation to him that she actually believes in him versus Lauren, who had kind of written him off at that point.
Can't be.
No, I think I think at that point, Ghost did not really know him like that, because Tasha was trying to tell him for the longest that Tariq was changing, that he was lying, that he was doing this and that and stuff. And he was like, I can just get through to him. If I do this, I'll get through to him. He didn't know until the very end who Tariq was.
Yep. And we can see a lot that Tariq and Ghost, their relationship was definitely tumultuous, but the visions that Tariq keep getting. So he had Kanan visit him in a vision this week. And that kind of sends the message to me that he valued Kanan's more input more than he valued Ghost, because you would think that it would be his father, revisiting him, somebody that he was close to. But obviously we know that Ghost did not want him to learn the game. So the fact that Kanan is the one revisiting him and giving him advice kind of explains that it really fully hammers in the message that he didn't really value his father's input.
No,
Kanan was more like a father figure to him.
He was more like a father.
And so I think Kanan, mission accomplished, because he claimed that Ghost stole his son, and so he was gonna steal Ghost's son, and he mission accomplished.
Which was my argument all along when I was saying that about Ghost. When I was saying in season 3, when I know he had all that stuff going on, but with Angela, when he took his eye off the ball with Tariq and the kids, that opened the door for Kanan.
Yeah. And Kanan was doing a good job at giving him advice this week, helping him to open his eye and look at all the people in his circle. And he told him, sometimes it really is the people closest to you, which, planted the seed for him to, step to Brayden.
I thought that was a dig too,
yeah, because who set Kanan up?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a ghostly dig. But yeah, hey.
And maybe it says something to the fact, his guilty conscience too. Yeah. The fact that Kanan is the one revisiting him, because he probably feels guilty for killing him.
Absolutely.
You gotta be a little crazy to sit down with a ghost, in your jail cell. Something's going on.
Well, it's supposed to be. Courtney says in her Q&As that it's not about supernatural, so it's really his subconscious. We see this person and it looks like it's a ghost, but she said that it's actually supposed to be like his subconscious.
Yeah, that's look. Let me put it this way: if you see a ghost in your subconscious mind, who can say otherwise? If that's what you see, that's what you got.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. I think that Tariq, he definitely got bailed out this week. He literally and figuratively, he definitely got bailed out, and he has to take that advice that Davis was giving him. He said, don't trust anyone. And so that's sound advice, considering all the shady dealings that everyone has had. I think though that with this situation where they're going to continue running the operation, despite Tariq being behind the scenes, he still better lay low, because that campus is hot.
Yes,
and I thought that it was interesting that when he was telling Brayden the truth about what happened in the pool, he brought up 2-Bit's name and finally told him about 2-Bit. So I was like, oh, I wonder if this is the path to bring 2-Bit back into the storyline.
He on his way back. I can see that. And Crystal Ball too.
He said he hasn't hit me up in a minute, so that's a good line to bring him back. You bring him up, you talk about him, and then he appears. But, yeah, I'd like to see 2-Bit back myself.
Yeah, I would definitely want to see that. So we kind of talked a lot about everything that went down. I think that one of the things, I just want to start throwing maybe some predictions out there.
Before we do the predictions, can we dig a little more in with Dante and Monet?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Because if we're talking about a powder cake, that's it right there. And the stem has already been lit. Because if you think for 1 second that Dante is going to be okay with Monet skipping out, not going back on her word, not allowing Dante to see Zeke, man, it's about to get hot in there. And that powder cake, that stem's already been lit. So
this is part of one of my predictions. I mean, you led right into it.
Good God. I mean, it's like, I can't wait to see how Dante handles all this.
And you know, Dante was watching, he was in the car watching Zeke playing basketball. And that's the thing, that's foul. Because it's bad enough you didn't even let the man know he had a child in the first place.
Right.
And then you tell him that you're going, oh, I'm going to arrange it. And then now it's not convenient for you. You're like, oh, no, forget it. I can't do that anymore. Like that, you just expect him to just sit on the sideline and see, she think he's just a businessman. She gonna see that this dude, he's just as powerful as Lorenzo, if not more.
Look, and this is why I said, because he told Kane at first he didn't want to meet Lorenzo. He was like, we can deal with each other. I don't ever have to meet him. He went back on that and told Kane, go ahead and arrange the meetup. And I was like, uh-oh, this is where it all goes to hell.
It's going down.
But you got to look at that power play that Kane did with his dad. You know, when he said to his dad, I'm the connect.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad
looked at what did Lorenzo say? Keep that same energy when things go wrong with that connect.
And he said, "What are you trying to be my boss, or you want trying to be my son?" I was like, and Kane was like, it seemed like he was falling back a little bit. I was like, see, these kids need to recognize who their parents are. Like Diana tried it and got gripped up, and then Kane tried to boss up, and Lorenzo was like, oh.
But see, it's crazy to me that Kane doesn't realize why he's not number two. It's because he's constantly challenging authority. You know, if you're going to be the number two, then you have to understand that you are taking the number two slot. You're not going to be challenging me. Like, it's bad enough that there's the father-son relationship there, but then you got the boss-employee relationship there, and he's constantly trying to usurp everybody's authority.
And he's number two. He's not the number two because he's too impulsive too.
Yes.
He keeps doing, like Monet told him, everything that you do always makes things worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the stuff that's happened has been because of Kane.
Yes.
So, and that's why they don't trust his judgment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now they're in this position where they don't even have money to try to pay to get the information they need to protect the family. And so it's just proven why Kane does not need to be involved. You know, he just needs to sit this one out.
He just needs to be the soldier he is.
Yes. And I was thinking too about his number two, like the fact that Kane has chosen Little Guap as his number two says a lot. Guap has already run into meetings with Mecca and ruined things. You know, he followed Mecca to his followed Kane to Mecca's apartment. That was a big no-no. Now you have Lil Guap coming into Lorenzo's welcome home party trying to take pictures for his Instagram.
That's what I say. Guap wants to be an influencer.
Yes. And you know, I know that Lorenzo and Guap's father have history, but even Lorenzo was like, your father never moved like this. You know, what are you doing? So it's like, it shows how terrible Kane's decision making is by the people he chooses to surround himself with and the moves he makes. So it's like, you want to be in the number one slot, the number two slot, but you're making all the wrong decisions that makes everybody take you out of the running for that consideration.
Yeah, and Lorenzo seems to know very well Kane's position. Like he told Monet, you know, as long as the street respects him or fears him, you know, he should be comfortable. He should be fine right there. And theoretically, he has a point, because other than that, I can't see any usefulness for Kane, because you know, he's just too hot-headed and doesn't think through anything.
And I have a good feeling that Lil Guap is about to check up out of here. He ain't gonna be around too much longer, being a liability like that. And then with the Keno guy that, you know, Drew has been tasked with taking out, you know, Lorenzo told him, you're gonna basically trail him, you're gonna take care of that for me. And so that looks like what's coming in the for the previews next week, because you see Drew kind of putting on like a ski mask and he's trailing somebody, And so Lorenzo had this conversation earlier in the episode with Drew, where he was talking about the after effects of getting shot and how much it messes with your mentality. And so I know that Drew is somebody that would defend his family. I know he'll do what needs to be done, but I think that he doesn't have the same confidence that he used to have. Especially, you know, when Kane took him to the gun range and was trying to teach him how to, you know, shoot again, you could tell that his confidence took a hit. And so I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea to send him in to try to take somebody out, because his confidence has taken a hit and it could easily go left.
When you got to stand in front of a man and think about shooting him, you know, your brain, you have to be pretty clear-minded about what it is you're about to do. And he already remembers being shot. You know, he's not a killer. So it's just going to be real interesting what happens when you try to make that decision to pull a trigger on a guy, because like you said, I think he's going to have some second thoughts, and you know, in the street, a second thought means you're dead.
Yeah. And that's the sad part. And I really hope that it doesn't go wrong for him. I hope he can, if you're going to go through and do all that, you better take the kill hit shot. So
that's right.
I don't know. I'm hoping that Drew doesn't have any more misfortunes in that regard. And then go ahead, Tiff.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you see that it looked like there was an altercation between Kane and Drew? In a sense. So I was like, what you were saying about the Cain and Abel?
I really want to see how that ends up, because Drew threw Kane up against the wall like he meant something. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention your girl Brushandria. She was in there defending Tariq, but in real life, you know, she got engaged recently. So congratulations to her. Like Tisha, she had a beautiful ring, iced out. So congrats to her. And so I think it'll be interesting once Tariq comes back to campus in the next episode, and after Carrie talked all that trash about him never getting bail, and you know he's not getting out. She was playing judge and jury in that situation. So when Tariq has to come back up in that classroom, she got to eat her words.
Yeah, because even Rashad checked her too when she was saying that, and he said no. You know, anything could be bought with money, and innocent to proven guilty. There was one dude, not brother, that was in the class that was also saying that too. And it did seem like most of the folks were trying to defend Tariq, not all.
Yeah, it's true. I think maybe next week we'll also get some more Zeke, because he had a very small role this week, but it's going to be interesting to see how he interacts with the family too, now that Lorenzo is home. I know he doesn't live with them, so he doesn't really have to run into Lorenzo on a day-to-day, but I think he feels like the tension there. I think he's going to start putting two and two together more and more. And I think that it's probably very likely that Mecca might roll up on Zeke independent of Monet.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
that's coming.
That's going to be real interesting too, because if he rolls up on Zeke and then explains to Zeke who he is, I really want to see how he handles Monet, because you know that is going to spark him to just go off.
And that's why Monet said she didn't want him to meet. She said he needs to focus on his career right now, and if you meet him, it might mess things up.
So mess things up.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm like, I don't know if Mecca will necessarily come straight out with the truth to Zeke. I wonder if he might try to introduce himself as something other than his father first, like just to get close to him and try to figure out, you know, how he is as a person, try to get to know him.
Makes sense, but time is of the essence, and you know that's an interesting comment, but time is of the essence for Mecca, and to me, it just would make more sense to put it all out there and let the chips fall where they may, because he's already in that mode that he's ready to knock on the door and tell everybody who he is and who Zeke is to him. So it'll be interesting to see.
It was funny to me too how Lorenzo found out about, you know, Monet's exit plan aka Zeke.
Yeah.
You know, he had no idea that there was another exit plan, and so it just goes to add more onto their tension in the household.
It is. Exactly. That's going to add animosity. He's already treating Zeke like an outsider. And he's going to be like, what's up with, yeah. And I hope Zeke doesn't end up getting hurt.
Right.
Behind
between their
all
mess.
of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean physically hurt, not just emotionally.
Right.
Kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense.
Now, what were you saying?
I say it kind of makes sense as to of all the players here, that Zeke would be the one that actually gets hurt over all of this.
Yeah. And I was going to say one last thing that I wanted to bring up was we got mention of Tasha this week, because Tariq was asking about her so that they can have a conversation. I guess he wants to fill her in on what's going on with him and get some advice. But Tasha's been relocated to New Mexico. So I'm like, y'all pushing her real far out west.
This is part of my predictions. What you're saying is part of one of my predictions.
Yeah, I got a good feeling we're gonna hear something about that in Force.
I feel like this is what I feel like. They had a conversation, Sax and Davis, and they said, we're not gonna tell Tariq where she is, and in the conversation trying to keep them from conversing.
Yep.
I think that Tasha not being able to get in touch with Tariq because he destroyed the phone is going to come out of witness protection trying to get it out, and when that happens, Tommy's going to get a hold of her. That's what I think is going to happen because, let's face it, Notori is on another show. She's on Queens and everything, and unless they're going to keep her in witness protection to keep her alive so she can make other appearances in the future, I do feel like they kind of setting things up with this, this side deal with Davis and them, and not allowing Tariq to communicate. She's gonna come out looking to find out what's happening with her family, and that may get her off.
I think so too. It's definitely not looking good for her.
I would think that would be held over for Thomas's story,
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that might be because they said that Tommy's story is gonna pick up the night that he
left town.
He left town and everything. So everything when we see his show is gonna pick up from there. So during that time, who knows? Like, we might catch that, him running into Tasha and he getting rid of her.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a big possibility there. Yeah. And I thought that it was interesting too how, Davis finally defended his client. He was telling Sack, don't try to coerce a confession out of him. And we know Davis is motivated by the money. He wants to keep Tariq on the payroll, so that he can keep giving him money. But he finally stepped up to Sax and told him, like, look, you got to chill.
Right.
But it was funny to me that Sax overheard Lauren outside of Jenny's office. And, Lauren was talking about how she didn't want to testify, and that she basically was in a position where she wanted to go back on the paperwork she signed. And Jenny
was tricked, is what she was saying.
But Jenny was like, it is what it is.
Carrie tricked her into doing that, is what she was saying. And so I think Sack's going to use that information.
Oh, for sure. And he heard all of it, and he didn't let Jenny know he heard it. And we know Sax is like shady. He knows how to work behind the scenes and maneuver. So I think that in him trying to get the truth, I guess, out of the situation, he's going to go and maybe try to help Lauren. I don't know if he's going to try to get her out of testifying, so that he can use her for other purposes.
Or he's going to tell Davis so that Davis can say she was coerced. Like, this testimony, you can't use this in court of law because she was coerced to do something, So if he takes that back to Davis, he can use it. But here's the thing. I saw in the previews that he was talking to Tamika. And Tamika was saying something. Tamika was saying something like, if you don't stop him now, he's gonna be a bigger monster than his dad. Yes. So that's gonna be the dilemma for fact. Like, do I use this information to take back to Davis to defend him? Because that information would help Tariq. But if, you know, his conscience, like, you know, if he starts talking to Tamika and Tamika's like, no, we need to, you know, he's a monster and we need to stop him.
Yes.
Then he may just sit on that information.
Yeah, well, Sachs better take a side. And if I were Davis, I'd put him on a real thin leash because, you know, you just don't know where Sachs is going. You know, as far as Lauren is concerned, yeah, she was coerced. She was tricked into doing the things she did. And Carrie was right. Nobody put a gun to your head and you signed something without reading it. So, you know.
But she did, but it's right. But she also lied to the girl and told her that and not that I'm feeling Lauren, because I'm not, but she did lie to the girl and tell her that Brayden was the target. She never let her know that Tariq was the target because she wouldn't have done it. And then she, yes, Lauren should have gone to her parents in the first place.
That pretty much wouldn't hold up in court because it's just hearsay between the two of them. There's nothing written to say that she lied. You know, she can go in and say that, and Carrie can say, well, no, I didn't lie. You know, I was under the assumption that Brayden was a part of it, and turns out he wasn't. But, you know, any of that, I don't know. But, you know, let's just put it this way. I'm glad Lauren is out of Tariq's life because that was a cancer that was growing. And if it wasn't
a cancer,
that's a cancer. And if it wasn't cut out.
Well, I'm wondering if Carrie checks out before any of that can even happen. Because I know I posted on our Instagram that, you know, there was going to be a new cast member, Keisha Sharp, joining the PowerBook 2 Ghost cast in season 3. And she's actually, she's a professor. And so people are wondering if she'll be Carrie's replacement. And there was a lot of chatter in our comments about like, oh, does that mean Carrie is about to be up out of here? And so, I mean, it's a possibility. We know nobody is off limits in this show. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely. Or she's definitely going to be ruined. If she's not killed, she's going to be ruined once all that information comes out.
Or Lauren could have her fired because of
that's what I mean. She's going to be ruined if Lauren gets her revenge and tells her mom and stuff. I mean, her parents, because her parents have influence too.
Yep. And that's what I mean by she's going to go one way or the other. And, you know, in the previews next week, David straight up told her, like, you're playing a dangerous game. So chickens might be coming to roost for her, too.
Exactly. Because I was like, Davis knows Tariq is a killer, too.
It brings back what Malcolm X said, by the ballot of the bullet, she's gone.
Yeah.
She's either going to be voted out or shot out. So, hey, you know, she's gone.
So into next week, it looked like, you know, Tariq is obviously out of jail on bail, shows back up in class. Carrie is surprised. So I can't wait to see that interaction, like I said. We also have Rashad telling Tariq that he's his only hope of getting his sister back. So I'm like, after, you know, pleading his case and saying that he would clean up his act and get his sister, you know, he got the apartment and all that stuff, and then getting arrested for a double murder. I don't know what judge is going to release a minor into his care again. So, I mean, Tate must got a hell of a lot of pull.
He doesn't. No, he no longer has that apartment either because after he and Lauren broke up, he was like, "I'm gonna get my stuff, get you back the keys," and stuff. So, back to dorm life.
Yeah. So I don't know what kind of magic Tate gonna pull off to get that done, but I was even surprised Tate did any of the favors for Tariq this week because Tariq already promised him to get information if he helped him with Yaz. Tate helped him with Yaz. He still ain't got nothing on Sweeney. Then Tariq asked for another favor and he still ain't got nothing on Sweeney.
And that's what he said. He blew up at Tariq too and let him know that. Like, but I think now Tariq's back is up against the wall. And we saw this week that Brayden did go get the yearbook.
Right.
Yeah, it better have everything that Tariq said was in it too, because we know he be lying.
That's true.
No, you know what? The sister alluded to some stuff in there. I bet you it's probably some blackface stuff. He probably likely a racist and all types of stuff. So I think Tate is going to end up getting that man's seat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that. Monet's next week, it looks like she has another run-in with Mecca where she's telling him he's going to ruin everything she worked for. So I'm like, yeah, this relationship is downhill. It looked like I seen some people going into possibly rob something. It was definitely Kane with a ski mask on, but it was also a girl who had like a big full kind of curly afro. And I was like, is that Diana? Because you see, if you look, it was a girl, she had a big gun with the scope on it and she had the laser going. And so I was like, I couldn't tell who the girl was, but it was definitely Kane who was behind her. So I'm like, I don't know what he up to, but it can't be good.
I'm gonna go back and look at that.
Yeah, go back and check the preview. And then of course, Tariq is Sax is talking about Tariq and somebody who's close to him being the person that framed him. And he's also having the conversation with Lauren where he basically closes the door in her face, and then he goes to Diana and he's telling her that, you know, she has to be sure about something. So I'm like, this is building up to be, he's playing all of these women on different fronts. I mean, he's closed Lauren out, so she's off the table, but now he has Diana and Effie, who we already said our predictions on that situation.
I know you said y'all say Lauren's off the table, but I don't think that's going to stop her from trying to get back in his good graces.
Oh yeah, for now, I'm just saying.
Trying.
Actually,
Tariq is icing her out right now.
Well, actually,
yeah, he is.
Actually, he has her in a very favorable position because her heart is still in it with him. And, you know, he can pretty much manipulate Lauren.
He can manipulate, right? That's why I said I don't think, like, he is icing her out right now, but I think he probably going to still use that relationship to his advantage because she's going to be desperate.
Yes.
To get back on his good side.
Yeah, I can see that. So we're at episode 6. Next week is 7. We are winding down this season. So it's only up from here. I mean, I really enjoyed this week's episode because it was jam-packed with so much. And we really got an insider's view at the Tejada household now that Lorenzo's back. So that turmoil is going to continue. I think I see a messy divorce in the near future. I know Monet is trying to stick with it, but I don't think she's going to be able to hang in there with it.
I think somebody's going to die. I don't know if it's going to make it to divorce. I think somebody's going to die.
We know with this show, it's very likely.
I can see Monet taking out Lorenzo.
But I'm thinking about it from the perspective of like the people who have long-term availability to be on this show. Now I know Mary has a lot going on in real life, and so if she was to continue on for several seasons, she would have to really put a lot of effort into being a part of this show and put some of her other endeavors maybe on hold or schedule them around her filming. So I'm thinking it's more likely that Monet would get taken out.
That's what I
considering
think
what Mary has going on in her other career endeavors. So that seems more likely to me.
Well, I mean, it does seem likely, and I think we kind of said something about that earlier. I think they both can go because I don't see Lorenzo holding the show. You know,
I mean, the war against Mecca.
Well, that war, yeah. I mean, you can drag that on for a few more seasons, even all the way through season 3. You know, and that could be very interesting. But I still think if that's going to happen, you're going to need Monet in there because she adds color to that whole war. And
I don't think Lorenzo would be the one to take Monet out. I think it would be Mecca, if anybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
because Lorenzo would think about how that would affect his children. I mean, I know Monet is not the most motherly, but that's still their mother at the end of the day. So I don't think he would do that necessarily to the family. But I could see Mecca, you know, having his vendetta against Monet for going back on her word and not holding up her end of the deal. And especially once Monet figures out, you know, Mecca has been playing both sides of the fence with her. So I I don't think that's gonna go well. I think she'll try to retaliate or do something against him, and he'll end up having to take her out.
Or she'll take him out. I mean, she doesn't have a problem killing people. So, and she's already, she's already stepped back from Mecca. And if Mecca keeps pushing.
But she's underestimating him. She doesn't know what he's capable of. She has no idea.
No, she thinks he's just a businessman.
Yeah.
But she doesn't take pushing too lightly. And he's right now, he's a second from getting on her bad side.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this episode. I'm pretty sure everyone did. I'm glad that it's back. Probably like everyone else, they don't like these long hiatuses. Mm-hmm. But there's so much to come from this. So it looks like right after the PowerBook season is over, we're gonna have like a slew of shows coming back, from Ozark to Force, and Atlanta is coming back, Snowfall's coming back. It's so many good shows that we're about to have the opportunity to get back into. So I hope everyone will stick with us, and we are going to do our best scheduling wise to stay on top of every single one of those shows that's coming back. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you get alerted whenever we post. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and drop down in the comments and give us your thoughts on this episode. I'm sure you guys are going to have plenty to say. Mm-hmm. You guys got anything to add before we close out?
I'm curious to know how many of our subscribers watch Euphoria too, because Euphoria starts tonight, season 2, and Lil Meech from BMF is gonna be on this season, and so I'm curious to know if any of our subscribers watch that show.
Yeah, let us know, and I'm definitely gonna check that out too.
I'm gonna check it out too. The hook. Yeah,
in more ways than one.
Yes.
Okay, well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next week, we're gonna call it a night, guys. Thank you again. Bye. I need to tell you. I want to Unless you talking numbers, we ain't speaking about the right things. Switch up on my nigga for a figure, that's not like me. Baddie with a body in the lobby, she like nice things. She used to know me then, she like me now, that's funny timing. Eyes been on that prize, I cop that cribbo for that timepiece. I'm trying to see the globe and sell out shows until the flight leave. They wanna ride my ties, but they ain't even ride or die, please. But I've been short on time and in the prime of my prime easy. I said I never changed and leveled up, I guess I lied.